Okay, fight fans, our guy from across the pond, as always, on Mondays, Hearn Unleashed with Eddie Hearn.
Welcome, Eddie.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Good, man. Great weekend. This weekend, huge fight over on your side at Wembley. Listen, first off, how is Dillian White doing today?
I only messaged him this morning, actually. I guess when you get beat like that, the last thing you want to really be doing is receiving messages from people telling you to keep your head up and etc. But just fired him a message saying just that. I think inactivity. I mean, look, I viewed the fight really as a fan more than anything, and Dillian's a friend of mine. We weren't involved in the fight. If I'm being honest, I didn't like what I was seeing at the press conference, at the weigh-in. I felt like Tyson did a good job to befriend him at those events, where we all know that Dillian's greatest asset is his ruggedness and his ability to put fear into people. Right. And I actually think you saw Tyson fight with that fear in the fight. I mean, let's be honest, it was a poor fight because Tyson did exactly what he needed to do to win the fight, and he's very clever at doing that, which was negate the work of Dillian White, hold him whenever he could, right? Walk him back to the ropes and box him from the outside. Now, for me, Dillian White was too passive in the early stages of that fight. It was all too friendly. There was a few elbows going in as the fight warmed up. Dillian will feel like he just made a mistake at that moment in the fight, but this wasn't a mistake like the Povetkin mistake where he was controlling the fight. He was getting outboxed. I didn't really give him a round in the fight, maybe one round, but for me, but it's, again, I'm saying this as a fan, and fans will say, like AJ against Usyk, he never imposed himself in the fight. You have to admire the quality of Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, who didn't allow them to impose themselves in the fight. So I think inactivity played a massive part as well. Like Dillian's boxed, I think 6 rounds in 2 years or something like that. And it's very difficult to go in with inactivity and beat a great fighter like Tyson Fury. But, it was a strange knockout. The Povetkin uppercut was a brutal shot that you saw, but this was a sort of a skimming shot, wasn't it? That sort of made its way up the chin and I think on the top of the head as well, and he got up, but he couldn't compose himself.
Yeah, well, there was impact, real impact on that blow, but it did kind of graze him, but hit him at the top of the head. But I saw you talking to Tyson Fury on FaceTime. What was that conversation about?
He FaceTimed me non-stop yesterday. He was I couldn't really hear him that well because he was out drinking and I was in a restaurant but I just said, well done. I think he was trying to call AJ and I think he was asking me for his number. I think he was just harassing everybody basically on having a few drinks and celebrating. I just said to him, well done.
Well, he just won. He just won and retained his title, and he's trying to call AJ.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
so he could rub it in.
It was nice. It's like, so I just think that obviously, look, Tyson Fury. He's very popular at the moment, so anything you say negative about him isn't going to go down very well. But Tyson Fury is a great bluff merchant, right? And he ain't retiring.
Now, one thing I could say is that
the biggest fights for Tyson Fury haven't happened yet.
There you go, and that's exactly what I.
And I will say one thing again, and look, he's the best heavyweight on the planet right now. I'll give him that. When we talk about generational greatness. Yeah. Yes, he could be a generational great for this exact generation. But please, with victories over Wilder and Klitschko and White, please don't start talking about him in the same breath as Ali and Frazier and
no, and Lennox Lewis, nowhere close to Lennox Lewis.
But listen, Barack, if he beat AJ, if he beat Usyk, I give him all the respect of being a generational great up there with Lennox Lewis, everyone.
Absolutely, because that's what Lennox Lewis did. He beat everybody at the time.
The jury is out on Deontay Wilder, right? And we may get proved wrong. He may go on and actually, his best win was Luis Ortiz. His only win was Luis Ortiz, Deontay Wilder. We don't know the reality, the truth, right? But if you're going to give Fury the credit of beating Fury, Klitschko and White, which are his standout wins, and a Chisora that wasn't really actually, fun enough, even a Chisora he is today, but put him in the list. Please give AJ the credit of Klitschko, White. There's the same 2 wins, right? One was a year after, and people say, oh, yeah, but Klitschko was ruined by then. What? Ruined in a Fury fight? Didn't get hit in a Fury fight, right? Joseph Parker, Andy Ruiz, Kubrat Pulev, Alexander Povetkin. These are the names on Anthony Joshua's resume. So right now, there is no argument that Fury is number 1. In fact, it could be an argument about Fury and Usyk who's number 1. But if you want to call Fury number 1, no problem. Don't, with that resume, don't call him a generation. He's a brilliant heavyweight. He may be the greatest of all time. I don't think so.
No. You have
to prove it through a resume, not beating one guy 3 times. You know?
Absolutely.
You're preaching to the choir, man. I mean, I've been saying that all weekend with friends and people that I work with about that fight. I mean, look, I love Dillian. I think he's a hell of a fighter, but that reaction from that broadcast, from that win, like, come on. Like, I mean,
yeah.
But I want to see him against
I wanted Dillian White, and I thought he was getting good instructions from the corner. When you cut him off, hit wherever. Hit the body. I mean, Dillian's a fantastic body puncher. Don't swing that looping right hand over the top to try and catch him somewhere. Hit him anywhere. Because Fury was very uncomfortable in that fight. Anyone could see that.
I think he was tentative of Dillian's power, his right hand.
He punches very hard. He's very dangerous, Dillian.
This was the same outcome as the first Povetkin fight, but probably a different Dillian White reaction, because at the end of that fight, he was already asking for the rematch, figuring, I shouldn't have got beat by this guy, but maybe this is something different where maybe he got beat in his mind by the better fighter. It wasn't as competitive as the Povetkin fight. So where does Dillian go from here, Eddie?
I don't know. I mean, look, he's obviously, we all know it was well documented. That was a fantastic payday. Mm-hmm. He's made a lot of money, but he can still be involved in some great fights. Now, can he go on and win a world heavyweight championship? Maybe when the dust settles and all these belts fragment. He's a very good heavyweight. But I just feel that, mindset is everything. And he had the wrong mindset in that fight, in my opinion. And so did AJ when he boxed Usyk. Right? And you need someone in the ear that can flick the switch at the right time. Like the Dillian White that, I'm not saying that the Dillian White that boxed AJ would have beaten Tyson Fury, but back then, that guy was a bad, like a real bad, like ready to go. You think back then, if he would have fought Tyson Fury and Tyson Fury started tickling him at the press conference in the head-to-head,
right?
AJ Fury would have cleaned him out on sight. I mean, Dillian, he would have chinned him on site or stuck or whatever.
Right.
So it was again brilliant mind games by Tyson Fury. He does it so well. I've seen it before. Vladimir Klitschko used to do it too so well. AJ told me when they were in a head-to-head, right? They're looking at each other's eyes, and Klitschko goes to AJ, okay, we'll look to the cameras in 1, 2, 3. And AJ goes, and it's like, and afterwards, it goes, wow, Jesus, it's
Yeah.
And
I get it. But one thing you call this fight a poor fight. I wouldn't call it a poor fight because
I get stick for saying that, Brett. It was, listen, if it went on like that for 12 rounds, everyone would have been moaning.
But we got to understand that Tyson Fury was never really this guy. This is still a new Tyson Fury to me.
I agree.
The only fights he had that were fights that we wanted to see were against Wilder, and it was only 2 of those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I give Fury, again, it's very difficult for me to say anything without people calling me a hater, but I give Fury the credit and the respect of knocking people out. Like I said, in the build-up to this fight, he's not a one-punch knockout artist. I still don't think he is compared to some of the bigger hitting guys, but he's proving it. He's proving me wrong, and he continues to prove me wrong. Because guess what? I didn't rate him before Klitschko won. Thought he had no chance. He won nearly every round. I didn't think he had a chance in Wilder won. He won that fight. And I didn't think he'd knock Dillian White out. And he did. So respect to them.
How do you feel about his trainer, Sugar Hill, taking his
Great
shirt
trainer.
off at the press conferences in the ring like Tyson Fury? I don't know. It kind of annoys me a little bit. Maybe
Does
I'm
it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he must be an outstanding trainer, and that it's all about the relationship. That a great fighter makes a great trainer, but at the same time, there are great trainers as well that exist, and for Tyson Fury, that's the guy that's brought the best out of him.
Yes.
And for any young fighter, they should look at that relationship and realise the importance of a great trainer.
I think he's probably underrated, like a Derrick James. Derrick James took a Jamel Charlo and made him a puncher. Sugar Hill took Tyson Fury and made him a puncher.
It's compatibility, isn't it? It's not just, I don't believe that Sugar Hill can take another fighter necessarily and turn him into a puncher or change him, but
I don't agree with that. You took a guy who never even thought in his mind that he was a puncher, and you convinced him that he was a puncher. That's special.
that is. You're very angry today, Barack.
No, I'm not angry.
I agree with Eddie on that. I don't think everybody's compatible. I think some trainers, you got to have some sort of.
That's not the argument. The argument is Sugar Hill.
Fury's a great
Sugar
fighter.
Hill can make another fighter a power puncher because he taught Fury how to do that.
All right, who else has he made?
Look at John David Jackson. Yeah, he's got a reputation of turning people into punchers. Like, we've taken fighters to him, Danny Argulusinov, like these other guys. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't always play out like that. But Fury's got size. He should be a bigger puncher than he was. I don't
not necessarily. Not if that's what you've been doing in the amateurs. That's what you've been doing in the pros. And he's the one that told Fury to put on that weight. He didn't really have all of that size before. He made him gain 20-something pounds and said, you're a power puncher. And then he lose 10 of those pounds for this fight and still say, you're a power puncher. Matter of fact, you're a one-punch artist. That's the trainer.
I never thought I would see the day where I look better in a pair of shorts than the world heavyweight champion. He's an inspiration.
That's yet to be seen. You might have to take your shirt off now to prove that.
Listen,
I promise you.
Hold on. Let's talk about power punchers that have been power punchers their whole career, heavyweights. Anthony Joshua, all right? When is Usyk Anthony Joshua happening? Any update on that?
Yeah, we're going to be in July, and July 23rd is obviously a date that's been bandied around. That's probably the front runner right now, that date. We're in final negotiations with a number of sites in the Middle East and in the UK. We looked at America. I don't think this is where it's going to take place, but I think I'd like to be in a position fight week for Canelo where I can give you some more news. So obviously we've got 2 massive weeks coming up. Katie Taylor Serrano, which has just become, Valdez Stevenson is a great fight. I'm sorry, no one.
I knew you was going to say this.
But Barack, I'm like, it's the only way where I can really make people realise how big this fight is. Like, people in boxing watch this show, right? This is a boxing fan show. That's the reality. No one's talking about Stevenson Valdez. I'm sorry, it's a great fight, but Taylor Serrano is a moment in time. Trust me when I say the amount of media that is coming to Madison Square Garden, I've never seen anything like it. This fight, when it comes around on Saturday, will be absolutely massive. And the undercard is off the charts. Liam Smith against Jesse Vargas is a main event fight in the US, in the UK. You've got Cruz Dazn against Sedaros. You've got Galauya, the Olympic world champion, fighting for a title. You've got Amo Williams in a great fight as well. It's such a great night of boxing. And I'm on that plane tomorrow, and I cannot wait. I'm going to give this, with my partner, Jake Paul, the full Monty this week.
No doubt. Now, we don't have to say that Vargas and Liam Smith is a main event here, because it's a small main event here. But without that, I think that the historic value of Serrano versus Katie Taylor is unmatched anyway, no matter male or female. There is no other fight with that kind of historic value. So this is a huge fight.
I just think people have embraced it as well, Barack. Yeah. People are excited for this moment in time, and people have bought into this moment.
Yes. And you know what, Eddie? A lot of people have been, people that have always been Jake Paul fans have been coming out in public talking about how happy they are that he has helped Amanda this way, women's boxing this way, and teamed up with you.
It's great.
It's great.
Jake Paul's been helping women's boxing for about 6 months. and I've been doing it for 6 years. But he gets.
Well, you've been doing something wrong.
I tell you what, I'm over the moon. I don't care. Give him the plaudits. I will be a very proud man on Saturday night when I see that Madison Square Garden full up for a brilliant fight.
No, we've said it. We've said it that you're the first Jake Paul. You've been doing it for a long time.
Steady.
You, Lou DiBella, you guys been doing it for years, and you definitely deserve the credit. And Jake Paul is adding to that. That's all.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's talk about how great of a salesman you are. I mean, you're a guy that, off the no script, on the dime, you can shoot, and sell a fight. So we're gonna have a little fun before we get out of here. Let's get you to sell something and nobody can sell. The best salesman, the best promoter in boxing. Let's start today with sand in the desert. We're talking about fights in the desert. How can you sell sand to the desert?
Welcome to Eddie Hearn's Sell the Unsellable.
Well, I think what everyone has to understand is the importance of sand. Sand makes the desert, sand makes the man. And you can't exist in that environment without the beauty of sand. And you have to also understand the different textures.
But there's already sand there. I don't understand, sir.
But Barack, that's where your mind is limited. You have to open your mind to the difference of sand. Sand exists in different hills, different climates, different shapes and sizes. And the feeling on your foot is unmatched. You can never buy enough sand. How many times will you go on a holiday and you step on that beach and you can just feel the texture?
Very true. Very true. Well, how much
I don't like this sand.
How much is this sand you're selling?
The sand that we can't put a price on this sand, Barack. Wow. The price varies dependent on the quality. But what you must understand is what you need in your life, and that is sand.
You got me, brother. You got me.
I want more sand. More sand to the beach. Thank you, Eddie. As always, looking forward to seeing you this week here in New York. Big fight week. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. Can't wait, man. Cheers.
Can we actually let him go? Can we let you go without an Eddie exclusive, though? Are you trying to sneak away without that?
Come on, Eddie. You got something. A lot has happened.
I don't know. Listen, we'll talk about next week. We'll see what happens with our good friend Gennady Golovkin in Las Vegas next week, and if Canelo Alvarez can get the victory. But look out for some big names in the Garden this Saturday. It's going to be.
Maybe when Eddie will be on the live show, Barack, we'll get.
Yeah, I'll be on all week. Don't worry about that.
Yes,
all right. Cheers. Safe travel.
Bring some sand. Cheers, guys.